Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Good News Conversations here on the Albuquerque Journal Podcast Network. I'm your host, Good News reporter Gino Gutierrez. Very pleased to be joined this week by Ted Garcia, who is the Director of Native American Government Relations at the New Mexico Gas Company. Ted, thank you so much for joining me.
Gino, thank you for having me.
And Ted, we're here on a very exciting time for you guys. Just over the weekend, you hosted your annual Native American Scholarship Banquet for the New Mexico Gas Company, and you guys dueled out 20 scholarships to 20 Native American students from across New Mexico. It was a very awesome event, and I'm hoping you could tell our listeners a little bit about it.
Yes, New Mexico Gas Company has been implementing a Native American Scholarship Program since 2011. And since the inception of the program, we've been able to award 265 scholarships over the course of time to current, and roughly $524,000 doled out to Native American students in the state of New Mexico.
And it's a wonderful program, Ted, and it was awesome to be a part of the banquet you guys had. It was this past Saturday at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. We had most of the scholarship recipients that were gathered there, and this was the first time I had heard about the program. I had received an email from you guys and did some research on it ahead of time. It's a very unique program because there's not qualifications for GPA. There's not qualifications for, any sort of letters of recommendations. This scholarship at its core is really meant to help Native American students pursue a post-secondary education.
That is correct. Among the other items that makes this whole program unique is that the student's pursuit of education is up to the student. Many students pursue associate's degree, bachelor's degrees, master's, doctoral, PhD programs, and many pursue trade school certifications. Welding is a good example. Plumbers, certificates, a good example. And we've had the entire gamut over the course of time.
Yeah, and I know when you and I spoke on Saturday, that was a really key part of the program, a cornerstone really, is allowing the students to have flexibility when it came to pursuing their post-secondary education. Not a lot of Native American students in New Mexico may not have the most traditional path to a post-secondary education. So I know you mentioned the importance of allowing them to have that flexibility. So if they're pursuing a bachelor's, they can do that. But if they want to go to trade school and learn a trade skill, which is very vital in today's job market, they have that ability to do that.
Right. The intent behind this whole program is to provide assistance to Native American students in any form of post-secondary education, whatever the case may be. And when tribal leaders speak about Native American educational pursuits in New Mexico, they often encourage students to go off and get an education. And at some point, when you're ready, the encouragement is to return to the community where they came from and offer your 2 cents in improving that community. And that's what we intend to do. And that's the basis of this program.
Yeah, and Ted, it's the basis really because you were a fundamental part in starting this program, and you mentioned how it's a return to community, a return to help out your fellow community members. For you, really, that was kind of a key part of this as well. You're a member of the San Felipe Pueblo. You started this program with the intent of helping Native American students. I know I asked you this question on Saturday, but I'm tempted to ask you again. You fast forward these 11 years, you've helped over 250 Native American students. You've administered over $500,000 in scholarships. Could you have ever imagined you would have been able to impact so many lives?
I appreciate that. And certainly I appreciate the opportunity to have been a part of this program and a part of this journey with many, many students so far. And the hope is to be able to continue to support the incoming students that have yet to join the program. It is a program that, as I mentioned, very, very unique. And, with the support of the gas company executives, ongoing support, we hope to continue this program into the future. And I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, and the awesome part about Saturday's event, we touched on it a little bit, there were was roughly about 16 of the scholarship recipients that were present. They enjoyed a really good meal. I know you were really excited about the meal. It was, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it was bison ribs, there was mashed potatoes, I think there was asparagus on there as well. But not only did they get to enjoy a meal with themselves and their families, but they also got to connect with their fellow scholarship recipients, which I'm sure is a very vital part of the program as well for you.
Very much so. This particular event culminates with the awards banquet that took place this past weekend. And we, of course, invite the recipients, and they are free to bring guests with them. And typically, they're some of their strongest supporters, their parents, family members, friends in many cases. And they get the opportunity to do exactly just that, to connect with other students that have reached the same milestone as they have through the scholarship program. And it's an excellent event in my view. And to hear directly from the students, their sentiments, the sharing of their journey, and their aspirations. It's just so reinforces the purpose and intent of this program.
Yeah, I know for me personally, that was probably one of the most impactful parts of the entire event. You're awarding the scholarships directly to the students that were present. And the students got a chance to give remarks after they received their plaque and they received their check as well. And it's amazing to hear their stories, because each story is equally as impactful if the journeys are not exactly the same. I know there were a few moments that it got emotional for some of the scholarship recipients. They're doing this in honor of their family members who may still be here or may have passed on. They're doing this for their community members. For you, what's it like sitting there hearing this, knowing that you are a direct beneficiary for these people to pursue their post-secondary goals?
As I mentioned, I'm happy to have been a small part of this effort, and it's super encouraging and super motivating to hear the sentiments that the students shared. And it's no different than what we've heard in past years from students. And I so look forward to this part of the program every year to hear directly from the student recipients. And as I mentioned, it simply reinforces the intent and purpose of this program. And I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of it, continue to be a part of it moving forward, and encourage continued implementation.
Yeah, and the amazing part about these recipients too, Ted, is what they're pursuing in school. There were a lot of people pursuing the medical field. Those students specifically said they were influenced by maybe the lack of healthcare access that they experienced in their own communities. We had one of the students who graduated from New Mexico Tech. She's going into engineering for water. She wants to benefit and help with water access on her community. These kids are taking their direct first-person experience and applying it to their education, and that's probably some of the most powerful things that we heard.
That is absolutely correct. This year's cohort of recipients, as with all other past cohorts, are truly inspiring. We got a glimpse of their motivation, their aspirations, and why they are on this path. There's individuals pursuing pre-mortuary science. That is so out of the ordinary, for a scholarship program, right? Welding and sports medicine. There's an individual going down that path, as well as cybersecurity, biology, microbiology. Their motivations come from various sources, but the common theme, I believe, is there's a motivation that is deeply rooted to who they are as a people, as a person, Native American.
Yeah, and it's beautiful to watch. I mean, we touched on it a little bit earlier. Since its inception of the scholarship, you guys have been able to help students who are from 20 of New Mexico's 23 pueblos, tribes, and nations. You guys have quite literally probably touched every corner of the state. Do you ever sit back and kind of think, wow, this has had a massive impact statewide?
I'd like to get all 23 at some point, and we're working on doing that, and programs like this can only help us to showcase the opportunity that much more so that we can actually reach the entire 23 pueblos, tribes, and nations and students from those respective tribes.
And Ted, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but this scholarship is very unique. Not only in the fact that there's no GPA or no letter of recommendation, but these checks are unique as well. I know you and I touched on it a little bit before we came on here about traditionally scholarship checks are made out to the institution that student is going to be attending. These checks are made out to the student themselves. Why is that so unique?
It's very unique in the sense that it's a statement. In many respects, a statement of trust in the student. We trust you. This check is made out to you. You are better than anyone else to determine how best these funds will help you in your educational journey. So it is in some ways a motivational message through the statement of trust that we cut this check in their name. So the feedback that we've received from various students in the past has been absolutely positive with that respect.
Yeah, and we had one of the students who was pursuing a nursing program. Her example of how important that check being made out to her name was very impactful. She mentioned that this is her second time receiving the scholarship. The first time allowed her to buy a laptop for school. Now she's going into her nursing clinical. She's going to be able to buy a stethoscope. That way it'll help her be able to tackle those clinicals. This check is quite literally, because I spoke to a couple of students, quite literally lifting part of the burden for them to pursue their education, which is amazing to hear firsthand, especially when you consider the cost of pursuing a post-secondary education.
Right. When you begin to think about all the ancillary costs associated with any educational pursuit, there's fees involved, there's books, there's other costs that aren't part of a traditional scholarship fund, if you will. So we sort of fill that void through this particular scholarship award. And other students in the past have attested that they utilize these funds to get to and from class, from school. That's a key component that you don't get that kind of support anywhere. So another aspect of why this program is super unique in that way.
And it's only seemingly to me, Ted, one half of the support that these students are receiving, because they also receive the support of not just their family, but their community as well, and leadership from their communities. You had the governor of the Pueblo of San Felipe who was out there. You had several of the lieutenant governors from other tribal communities as well. How important is it to maintain those working relationships with Pueblo leadership? Because I know for you, it's really kind of the linchpin of the entire program.
Absolutely. Having been from, or I am from the Pueblo of San Felipe, and the importance of network and relationships goes beyond the role that I play. The relationships that exist, the rapport that I've been able to build successfully, luckily, has been super helpful in every aspect of my role. And here in this example with the awards banquet this past weekend, we were able to get the support by way of tribal leadership making the time to attend a 2-hour event to support these students and to share encouraging remarks, not just to their students from their community, but everybody there. It was awesome.
And I know you've been humble every time I've asked you about your part in this program. Every person I've talked to affiliated with the program, the second your name comes up, they can't say enough about how important you've been. If I could get you to kind of drop a little bit of the humbleness for a second, just how proud you are of the work you've been able to achieve.
That's a tough ask, Gina. I am so proud to be a part of this program. The support team that we have, all the way from the executives to the people behind the scenes. Projects and programs like this don't go off without a hitch, without their commitment and their support. And I owe a great deal of gratitude to everybody involved. And I steer the ship. And everybody has their role and contributes effectively to this role. And kudos to everyone.
And I know for some of our listeners at home, possibly some Native American students that might be listening to this as well, they're probably a little curious about, hey, this sounds like a really awesome program. How do I get involved with this? I know for you guys, to be eligible to apply for this, you have to be a resident of New Mexico when you apply, also an enrolled member of a tribe, pueblo, or nation here in New Mexico as well, and expected to graduate high school or pursuing an actual post-secondary degree. For those students, though, as far as dates, deadlines, application times, when can they start looking ahead to the 2025 rollout of the scholarship?
The next rollout of the application will begin in late April 2025, and the best place to reach additional information at that time is our website, nmgco.com. Therein will be a link where the details will be provided. The application will be accessible, and the guidelines will be shared as well online so that the students wishing to apply can do so with ease. And here again, the whole theme with this particular program is making it unique, and the process is super easy. It's a one-page application accompanied by an essay.
Super easy. No reason any Native American student in New Mexico right now shouldn't at least think twice about applying for this one, because as we heard on Saturday, this is a very transformative scholarship program. It is changing these students' lives for the better, and as you mentioned, sometime down the road when they're ready, can help benefit their communities as well. Absolutely. Yeah. So Ted, last question for you. I know the food was probably a highlight. I know the testimonials was a highlight as well. But for you personally, what was the one thing that stuck out to you that you took away from Saturday's banquet?
The motivation that was shared by an individual as to why she was pursuing what she's pursuing in pre-mortuary science. She expressed a sincere basis for why she's going down that path. And that's really an unusual pursuit for many of us, probably. But for her, it's a deep-rooted connection. And I appreciate that, and I'm happy to know that this program stands in support of her efforts.
Fantastic. Ted, I told you this on Saturday. I want to reiterate it. Thank you so much for doing this for New Mexico's Native American students. I know prior to hearing about this scholarship program, I had not heard of many scholarship programs that were targeting Native American students in particular. So to know that the New Mexico Gas Company is doing this and to hear from the students firsthand about how this will transform their lives was moving. And I just can't thank you enough for coming up with the idea and being, in your words, a very small part of getting this program off the ground.
Gino, I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for having us here.
Thank you. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, albuquerquejournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe, and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us continue to bring you content like this. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription, or go to www.albuquerquejournal.com/subscribe/ABQpods/ and enter the promo code ABQpods.